next week. All right, chapter 3, let's talk about it. Quest for quality. Nice alliteration. Oh, does it say September 30th? Okay, sounds good. September 30th then. I'll go by the due date. Um, remember how I used to teach this class in 5 weeks and it was all online? So I might be expediting our way through the content of the textbook. All right, high quality service is one that meets or exceeds a guest's expectations. True or false? One or two? What do we think? One or two? A high quality service is one that meets or exceeds a guest's expectations. One or two? All right, that is one. Make sure if you have your laptop open, you're paying attention to class and not what's on your computer. A high quality of service is one that meets or exceeds a guest's expectations. We know that. So components of a perceived quality service include what? Good. It is all the above. Okay. Reliability. How many of y'all go to a restaurant because you know the service is excellent? Okay. That's your deciding factor. We want to assure people. Who are y'all that did the United Airlines last time? I know it was y'all's group and the other group over here. Y'all talked about we wanted to assure, part of your strategy was to assure our future customers that we've basically learned our lesson. Okay. Those tangibles. How are tangibles a part of providing quality service? What is a tangible? Something you can touch, taste, right? You can experience it. So, how are those tangibles a part of quality service? Okay, so we make sure that we have exactly what the guest is ordering or guests they expect to get. How many of y'all are familiar with the Westin Heavenly Beds? How many of you are not familiar with the Westin Heavenly Beds? Okay, many years ago when Westin was still part of Starwood before it was bought by Marriott, they invested over $10 million in their bed. And I'm here to tell you, it is heavenly. It is absolutely heavenly. It's not just the bed, but it's also the sheets, it's the comforter, it's the duvet, it's the pillows, it's the quality of the linen, everything from start to finish. What's that? You can buy it. Yep, you absolutely can buy the Heavenly Bed system. Yep, absolutely from Weston. Those tangibles make an impact, right? Responsiveness. How is that related to quality service? Yeah, absolutely. Did we talk about the 2 bite 2 minute rule at TGI Fridays when I was there? So within 2 minutes or 2 bites of that plate hitting the food, the plate hitting the table, I had to be back there as a server asking how everything was. Okay, that's responsiveness. And then empathy, we know about empathy. One of the best ways for managers to distinguish their properties from others is to provide excellent service. True or false? That is true. Good. Goes back to my question. Sometimes, how many of you go back to a place because the food is okay, but the service is incredible? How about if the food is excellent, but the service is crap? Do you go back? You would have it delivered. Okay. I would only have it delivered if the quality was the same. All right. Which hotel chain teaches every staff member we are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen? It's funny you say ladies and gentlemen sounds fancy. One time I was in New York with my sister over Christmas time, and we were at some department store, and the lady at the perfume counter, she was like, a sample for the lady, a sample for the gentleman. And then we walked away. And my sister's like, I'm a lady. I'm like, no, you're not. We don't even belong in this department store. Come on. They just want to sell you some perfume. But it is the Ritz Carlton. Yes, it is the Ritz Carlton. Okay. We are, ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. I love this mentality because I think so many times our customers and our guests think that we are their servants. We are not their servants. We are serving them, but we are not servants. Okay. We are, ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. And I think when we change that mindset that I'm not just here to bring you food, I'm here to make you feel like a guest. I'm here to make you feel comfortable in my section. I want you to come back. I want you to have a great time. And so having that empathy, how would I want to be treated in this situation, allows us to provide that excellent service. Quality management is simply a management tool to be added onto other management tools. Now, quality management is capitalized, which means it's an actual program that you probably read about in a textbook. Quality management is simply a management tool to be added on to other management tools. True or false? That is true. Okay. It's not just a way to deliver higher quality products, it's also a way to change how people what? How we relate to other people, and also how we can think or how we can work, how we change that mindset. I think it's interesting when I worked at Cheesecake Factory, going from Fridays to Cheesecake Factory is when I realized that we have guests, we don't have customers. And changing that terminology for some reason changes how I approach somebody. You're my guest. You're not my customer. You're my guest. You are welcoming them into your area. Okay. And so if we look at how we can manage the quality versus looking at the processes, how things are put together, the parts that go into that, all of those go in together to make sure that we are providing great quality. Okay. Quality is a journey, not a destination. True or false? That is true. Okay. We are trying to continually improve in some way. Maybe it's incremental, maybe it's pretty drastic. Okay. Oh, what food chain was it? I think Panera is in the hot seat this week. Um, Panera's in the hot seat. Cracker Barrel's back in the hot seat. Did y'all hear about that? How they reheat their biscuits from the night before. Yeah, it's. I feel like technology just ruins us. We have too much access to too much information. I'd be happy to know that I don't care if I probably would be able to tell if my biscuits were reheated, but all right, true or false? Quality is a moving target. That is true. Yeah. So not only people's expectations and the customers' expectations change, but our internal customers, their expectations change. Okay. I was telling my class this morning, hey guys in the back, let's bring it down just a little bit, okay? Um, I was telling my students in the class this morning that at one point a McDonald's chicken nugget was pretty revolutionary. It's pretty good. I mean, that was like, holy cow, this is a chicken nugget. This is a little fried piece of chicken, right? Or KFC was that fried chicken with all those secret spices, right? Now we might have a little bit different definition of quality when it comes to fried chicken and chicken nuggets, right? Chili's comes up with the chicken crispers. Oh my gosh, revolutionary chicken crispers. The chicken tender, right? And they changed the recipe and it's horrible. I don't like the chicken crispers anymore. All right. Once radical ideas of Deming and Juran never became everyday language of business today, that is false. Okay. We're going to go over their 14 and 10 points of management in just one moment. I'm going to pull that up on the slide. How are we doing on time? Look at that, 6 minutes. I think we're doing okay. All right. Well, a lot of them are just like, which point? But if you haven't seen this yet, and you probably didn't read the textbook, you didn't watch the videos in advance, you're probably not going to know the point. So I figure we'll just show up the points here, and we'll talk about each one of these, or the ones that are highlighted. Okay, not necessarily highlighted, but the ones I want to highlight. Number one, create consistency of purpose. We can't just constantly change our vision just because our customers want something different, because that quality is a moving target. One thing that we want this week, there might be someone who wants something different next week. We can't just change at a whim. We have to have some kind of consistency of the purpose of why we exist. Okay. Our visions should change. Now we can have a new philosophy, We can have some flexibility of how we're going to achieve that vision, but the vision, the overall core vision, needs to stay pretty consistent, because otherwise, then how do our associates know what we're trying to do? This week we're doing this. Oh wait, next week we're doing this, and they get really confused. Okay, so having that consistency of purpose is really important as we're trying to strive for that quality. Okay, number 4 is about building relationships. Don't just shoot for the lowest price, because if you shoot for the lowest price, then eventually you're going to get really not great quality, right? Your quality is going to decrease just because you're always shooting for the lower price. The other one I wanted to talk about is instituting leadership. That goes back to that empowerment and training people to help them, empowering people to develop those people into leadership. And if they see a track, they see a career path, then they're more willing and they're more likely to stay with you than if there is no way to move up. Oftentimes, a phrase that I've said, you have to either move up or move on. There's no chance for you to move up. You got to move on somewhere else. Okay. Drive out fear. What does that mean, to drive out fear? Okay, bring confidence to your employees. That is good. Okay. Close, but not quite. Drive out fear. So I'll agree with you, Jason. I'm going to go back to that. I'm so sorry. To build that confidence, right? So allow people to not be afraid to make a mistake, to build that confidence and allow them, to teach them it's okay to make a mistake. Because what you don't want to have happen is that they're so afraid to make a mistake that if they do make a mistake, they don't tell anybody about it. And then that mistake grows and grows, right? And so, what's that? Or they fall apart. Absolutely. Okay. Don't institute a situation or develop an environment where people are afraid to come to you as a manager or as a leader to ask for help. Okay. Having that open door. Hey, come on in. You have a question? Come talk to me. Okay. Let's talk about this. Let's work through this. We want to break down our barriers between departments. Okay. Food service people, if the food's messed up, whose fault is it? Okay. You're in front of the house. All right. If you're back of the house, whose fault is it? The servers. It's the front of the house, right? How do we break down that barrier so that our two teams can work together? Okay. And how can we understand it's okay to make a mistake, own up to it, because if you own up to it, then we can fix it. But if you don't think you made a mistake, then you're never going to address it. You're never going to fix it. Blame the customer. Absolutely. Yes. So break down those barriers. When I was at the Sheraton Gunther Hotel, every Friday night we had a soup and salad buffet, right? We were always short on soup spoons. So how do you have a soup and salad buffet if you're short on soup spoons? Well, where did our soup spoons go? They went to banquets, because banquets was short on soup spoons. So it got to the point where we found this little panel in the wall that was loose, and we'd take that panel off and we'd hide our soup spoons so the banquet staff couldn't come in and take our soup spoons. Like, really? Why don't we have enough soup spoons? Right? And so a lot of that is, I understand, remember we talked about those limited resources and how we're going to, if we don't have a lot of sales, then maybe we don't have enough to afford to buy new soup spoons. But what are we spending on? Because silverware, nice silverware is not inexpensive. It's pretty pricey, right? And so how do we take those barriers and reduce them? So it's not front desk and housekeeping. So it's not front of the house, back of the house. How do we get them all working together? Okay. Yes.
Oh, I thought you were asking the question, so I was gonna say they can communicate.
Yep.
They can communicate about it.
Yep.
That's the worst thing I've noticed in businesses or in jobs I've worked, a lack of communication, and then like everybody's frustrated and freaking out because you know nobody knows what to do or nobody knows what's going on. And
Yeah, because there's no communication. Absolutely. So if we have that we break down that fear, if we remove that fear of making a mistake, and people can bring those issues up without any kind of threat of retaliation, it's important to kind of keep that in consideration. Number 10, eliminate slogans. How many have seen that poster? The little kitten hanging on the bar, and it just says, try harder. Who's that motivating? Nobody. I mean, okay, so it's motivating David, sorry. Very few people it's motivating, okay? Because what's that communicating? That's just saying, if you just try just a little bit harder, you can do it. You could do it, right? But sometimes people are just like, no, I am trying my hardest. I don't have a little bit more, right? Just hold on. Just hold on. You'll get there, right? That does nothing to motivate people. So if we can try to eliminate those slogans and really kind of get to the root of the problem, and then we can solve it and make things a more quality environment or more quality process, whatever we need to do, okay? I love that number 12. Remove barriers that rob employees of pride of workmanship. Okay. If you have pride in your work, oftentimes you're excited to go to work. Oh my gosh, I get to go to work today, and I get to go and make sure that my guests have the most amazing experience in my section. Oh my gosh, I get to go to work, and I get to work in this amazing kitchen, and I get to make sure that everybody's steak is perfectly prepared and they're going to enjoy the food just the way the chef intended it to be. Okay. But if we rob people of that pride of workmanship, and we're just going to go and just do the bare minimum, okay, oh, we're going to do it this way. I have to do it this way because blah, 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 whatever. Then they don't really have that pride, and that really kind of impacts their work productivity. Okay. The quality improvement process. As we're looking at this, we need to remember, as leaders, one of our management functions is to plan. Okay, so we've developed a plan. We want to set those goals. We want to tell everybody this is why we're doing this. This is why what's going on. Okay, we organize very similar to those management functions. Make sure that we report on the progress. How are things going? We want to celebrate those successes. Okay, here's our goal is to have 0 guest complaints. Last month we had 100. This month we only had 50. Good job, guys. We're halfway to our goal. Okay. Or this month we only had 10. Let's celebrate that. Yes, we still have 10 errors, but let's figure out what we can do to get those eliminated. Okay. Communicate those results. Maybe send out maybe have a poster where somebody can keep track of as we reach those milestones. Okay. And that kind of helps us maintain that momentum. As we start seeing, remember, who are those people? Who are the change age? We have 3 different types of people. We have the champions, the conservatives, and the inhibitors. With those inhibitors, as that momentum is growing, we want to focus on them. See, this is working. This is making our jobs a lot easier. Yes, this is a great positive experience. Okay. But the moment it goes to crap, oh, I told you it wasn't going to work. Yep. See, this is what's going to happen. It's not going to work. Right. Okay. No. We've got to keep this momentum going, because if we don't, then there's that potential that we're going to fall off. Okay. So what we're going to talk about in chapter 4 next week is different ways that we can present information on those progresses, or be able to present information, develop graphs, develop charts to present information that normally would maybe be like a list, bullet points, but how can we do it in a graphical, in a picture way that we could easily just say, yep, this, and this. We can interpret that data a lot faster versus just like a table of numbers. Okay. So please, again, next week on Tuesday, please bring your laptops if you have one. We will be using Excel. So thank you so much. I appreciate y'all's time tonight. I know 4 minutes over, but I'm also an hour and 11 minutes under. I will post these PowerPoints in Canvas, and I'll do a better job of getting those posted.